gluten-free tortillas. Brown rice gluten-free tortillas. Turns out these are, I missed that when I bought them. I was just looking for made in Canada.
Tastes good.
Yeah.
What is it?
These are, there's chicken in here and some beet leaves and peppers. And
this one down here?
This one has chicken, kimchi, beet leaves, peppers, some cheese, cream cheese, and hummus, I think. Oh, it tastes good.
Yeah, tastes good.
Stinks. Look. Ah.
I haven't been filming much of today's ride. It's been a long one for us, actually. 55 kilometers on some really rough terrain, really big bouldery rocks, and it's been a slog. We're making camp now and just going to get dinner in the pot. Tonight is macaroni and cheese, chili flavored. And just going to get that soaking. And there's our setup. We've been to this location before, so we've done part of the ride we did today previously, but added a section we hadn't been on before. Got some great views and got rattled pretty good on some really rough going. So here's the bikes. This is why we're out here, is we're trying to do a shakedown ride on these bikes. These are bikes we're trying to get ready for a longer trip in a couple of weeks time. And I've just finished building these wheels and just finished building that dork disc as well, the spoke protector. And yesterday I finished some brazing on the fork. Bit more monkey business with the bicycle. This is a fork off a Specialized rock hopper, and I'm trying to put a rack on it. When I got this fork, somebody had put riv nuts on the side there beside the brake mounts. And of course they spun and came loose and were just a mess. So I had to drill those out, grind them off to get the riv nuts out anyways, which left me with big holes in the fork blades. So I thought, well, I'll fill it with tubes and some make a mounting spot for water bottles or fuel bottles or something, try and rescue this fork. So in the interest of putting the rack on as well, I just put a tube through the crown here, and I think I might be able to, well, I will be able to get from the rack onto that somehow, just haven't figured it out yet. And I added these little braze-ons, I guess, for the lower mount, and just tap that. Oh, I see my, I have to get that fixed, my rust seal on the bearing. Yeah, so I pierced the crown with that piece of tubing, and I've put a braze-on with a threaded hole there. The other two holes are just to lighten this thing, but that one's threaded. And the idea is to put a rack on here. That's how the water bottle cage fits. Not sure I like it that high, but the holes were there, so I had no choice. So that's where we're at. That's this bike, and Karen's bike. Got the similar treatment with the wheels, identical actually. Same wheels and tires, that way you can carry just a couple of spare spokes and it'll do both bikes. Same dork disc in the back, because we'll probably change the gearing at some point. I have a new couple of new bags on this bike as well, so yeah, ready to go. So yeah, hopefully we'll manage to get ready for this trip we have coming up. It's never easy to get ready for a trip. Get a shot of breakfast before Karen eats it all. So just while I'm having a coffee before we get rolling today, I thought I'd go over the gear train. This is a Shimano Acera derailleur, and it's a very inexpensive derailleur, which is great. The reason I chose it is it has incredible capacity. So I've got this massive 42 tooth cog on the back. That's an 8-speed cassette, and in the front it's a triple, and I think it was 24, 34, 42 if I remember right. But whatever it is, it needs, doing the math, it needs a lot of chain capacity on the derailleur. So I chose the Shimano Acera. And I also re-welded this hanger, cut it off and welded it on a slightly different angle and lower and all of that, so that I don't need as much B-screw adjustment. So the B-screw is backed all the way out, rather than what would typically happen when you go to a large cog on the cassette, is you have to wind the B-screw all the way in so that the idler clears the cassette. In this case, I've got lots of room, so it's working fine. The other thing I did was I notched out the I can't remember the name of this here, but this piece here, the cage, I guess. I've notched it out so that I could put a 13 tooth idler in place of the 11 tooth, and that just increases the capacity that much more. And yeah, I just like the look of it, but I did have to notch the cage to fit that idler. So the gear train's working out pretty good. Hopefully we get it completely sorted before our trip in a couple of weeks. I am having some issues with the grip shifter, and I'll be taking care of that in the next few days. That's nothing to do with the gear train, but shifter issues. Turns out you can't just buy braze-ons in the local bicycle shop. Good thing there's a few days left before we leave on our trip. So on our ride last weekend, I noticed this bearing dust seal is not in place properly. That's probably my fault. I had this part for greasing, and this seal is, well, it's wrecked now for sure, but it's very stiff and brittle rubber, so I'm not sure. Well, I'm certain that's not salvageable. And I went to the local bike shop to try and get a dust seal, and of course you can't get the dust seal, and bearings are not the same as the ones they stock, etc., etc. This is probably original to the bike, and the bike is, I think, 1997. So all this stuff is getting old for sure. So I was able to buy a new headset, and I'll be putting that in now. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. So I've just got the bike frame hanging on this rope here, and take the old bearings off. There's that seal. It's just nasty. It looks like it's been crushed in a few different directions over the years. Anyway, next step, get that crown race off of there. Oh, it's coming off easy. One old crown race. Okay, I'm going to get this cleaned up before we put the new one on. So there's the crown race installed. Went on with no problem. Got the steer cleaned up, all the corrosion off, and that pressed on without issue. It is an oversized lower bearing on this headset. That appeals to me. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe the marketers got one over on me this time. Not sure. But that's the route I went. So next I'm going to remove the headset bearing, or cup, I guess. So that's the lower race. I'll clean that up, spin the bike over, and do the same with the top. Well, I'm not sure anybody needs to see that twice, but oh well, blame my editor. There's the top one. It's looking pretty clean, really. That's a timber washer, by the way. Works great for this. Important part is getting started straight, so I'll take some time with this. And once it's lined up and straight, you can just carry on tightening it down. I think it's worth paying attention that it's straight as you go. If it does get out of alignment, it's pretty easy to correct it just with a tap on the high side. But this one seems to be going in pretty straight. No issues at all. Which is kind of nice. These last minute jobs before our trip are not big jobs, but they are more jobs. So happy to have this one going well. Okay, that's in there pretty good. Just putting a smear of grease on there. Make it easier to put together and keep corrosion at bay. Timber washer. Maybe I'll start this one crooked and show you how easy it is to correct it. So I've just changed the camera angle there, and hopefully, well, with any luck, you can see it's crooked. So we'll intentionally just put the slightest bit of pressure on here. That'd be like worst case scenario if you weren't paying attention. But you can see how easy it is to adjust. It's just going loose on me in every direction. So, now the bike flips over, but it's really quite easy to correct this. You don't want to have to do this, but it's not the end of the world as long as you're paying attention as you go. So I think it would be pretty unlikely anybody ever gets it started that crooked. And you can see it's coming along nicely now. And this wrench doesn't fit the bolt, so I'm going to go grab another one. Something always goes wrong if you're filming. Okay, so now I can grip the bolt. And just watch it from two directions. So watch it from this direction and that direction. And if it looks like it's coming in square, it'll be all right. And there we are. Everything's home. mean, I like the idea of that oversized lower bearing, but I'm not sure how it's going to look. That's a huge cup on there. The next thing I'm going to do is wipe all this down with some thinner and get it all cleaned up. Then I'm going to pack the bearings before I put them in. So a minute ago I mentioned packing the bearings. This is the dry bearing. And packing a bearing might not be common knowledge anymore, but or a common thing to do. But it means getting the air out and the grease in. So you kind of have to force it in as you roll it around between your fingers. It's not just wiping grease on there. You want to get rid of the air and get the grease in there. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it's not enough to smear the grease on like that. You need to pack it in. And depending on the bearing, I mean, most of the time it'll be a roller bearing on a car or something, a taper roller bearing, but you can see it coming out the other side. When you pack it in on one side, it'll squirt out the other. And you want to make sure it's packed. It takes more grease than you would think. But it's worth the effort. I mean, it has to be done on a bearing. So, all right, that one's packed. And this little dust seal is the whole reason I'm into this project. So we'll get that on the fork, and then we'll drop the bearing in place. Now the bearing obviously goes so the open side of the cage is against the race. Before I slide the fork in, I am going to smear the steerer with grease the whole way just to keep it from getting corroded over time. I want this thing to last a while. So I can keep the camera angle the same. I think I'm just going to tie this in place. Might be the easiest way. That way I can show you what I'm doing. Not something you'd normally do, but anything for a video. Okay, so the upper one, smaller bearing, is just the same as the other one. You want to pack it full of grease. I'm thinking sealed bearings are probably more popular now, but more expensive. Not really needed. The open bearings are easy to service, take apart, inspect, re-grease, put back together, last a long time. So you don't need a sealed bearing, but I understand why folks might want one if they're not into maintenance. Bike shop can just pop in a new sealed bearing. Takes less time than packing an open one. Okay, so that bearing is packed now with grease, and you want it placed so the open side of the cage is facing up. the upper race. Just get some grease on that. And I like the bottom. It has a dust seal. And there is usually a right way and a wrong way. This one, there's not a big difference, but there is some manufacturer's writing, so I've put that outside. Now there's a split ring that goes in there. I guess manufacturer would like you to have their label to the front. For me, that doesn't really matter, but okay, now it's just time for the spacers and the stem. Okay, so I just got rid of that rope. Everything's still loose. But I got the spacers in. Stem is on. The headset did come with a new star nut, but I'm not going to use it. This one's fine. And a new cap, so I'm just going to use the old one. Wasn't planning on filming so much of this headset replacement. I don't know, I got sort of carried away, I guess. It's a simple process, but maybe somebody gets something out of it. So I'm just going to get that snugged up, everything straight. And I'm going to probably have to move the tripod, but the process is get it straight, get rid of the slop, rock it back and forth this way so there's nothing in it, and the right amount of preload, and then snug up the stem bolts. So that's it for this one.
Yes, and then. Yeah, that's okay. One in each of these.
So half of the food is boxed. We're going to ship that. Where are we shipping it?
Penticton.
Penticton, we're shipping that. And the rest of it goes on the bikes. So that's a week and a half of food for the bikes and a week and a half of food in the box. Some 11th hour repairs going on here now. Thought we might have heard a ticking from the bottom bracket, so we're going to swap that out. Don't have a lot of time for troubleshooting, so we're just going to replace it. And possibly the chain too, we'll see. Bit of rust in there, but not bad really. Threads are good. Bit of grease. Should clean up nicely. I'm hoping the amount of drama we've got going on getting ready for this trip is some sort of omen that this is going to be a great trip. But here we have our Garmin Montana 610, which we've been relying on heavily the last few years. And I've got extra batteries for it and all that. And today it decided to quit. So it's not charging and it won't turn on under battery power. It will turn on if it's plugged into the wall. So I've opened it up, and that's not, yeah, it's not real simple either. There's a trace here for the external antenna, and I had to take that off the board here. But what I wanted to get at was this, the battery contact block. and that makes contact with the battery. So I've been moving this around, trying to see if there's a cold solder joint somewhere, but the problem is the way the board is made, the other side gives you no access to the other side of those pins. They would be right here, but they're not visible on this side, so I don't know what's going on there. Double layer board, something, not sure, but I can't get to the back side of that block, so I'm doing my best to work at it from this side, and we'll see what happens. So I'm having some measure of success. If I hold the battery in place against that block and hit the power button, well, if I hold it square against that block, I'm getting life. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to try and put this thing back together best I can, and hopefully it lasts for this trip. It's 3 weeks of riding, so I sort of doubt this will hang together, but have to try, right? We leave on Saturday, so I don't have a lot of options here. Keep your fingers crossed.